Good day, everyone. So for today, we're going to have a new discussion in General Chemistry 1. So this one is entitled Lesson Number 6, Polymers and Biomolecules. So in the previous module, we have discussed about different organic compounds. We have discussed about their nomenclature and their structure. So we need to remember that hydrocarbons and other organic molecules are essential for life, and it is responsible for our survival, and it makes us function in our day-to-day lives. So in this molecule, we need to remember that the moment we further bond together the following molecules, we can be able to create macromolecules. Okay, so macromolecules are made up of single monomers joined by covalent bonds to form larger polymers. So we need to remember that macromolecules are known as polymers because they are made from series of monomers bonded with one another. Okay, so all in all, we have four macromolecules inside our body. Namely, they are carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and the nucleic acid. Okay, so without further ado, let's start our discussion about polymers and biomolecules. Okay, so I hope that you don't have questions about lesson number 5 so far. So I hope that the lesson number 5 is clear already. So if you have questions or concerns about our lesson number 5, feel free to message me during our consultation hours, okay? So let's start our lesson number 6 by reading the objectives. So the objectives for today's discussion includes the following. So, at the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe the formation and structures of polymers. You will be able to explain the properties of some polymers in terms of their structure. You will be able to describe the structure of proteins, nucleic acid, lipids, and carbohydrates and relate them to their function. Next, you can be able to describe the preparation of selected organic compounds. Next, distinguish non-essential and essential amino acid. And lastly, demonstrate a protein extraction from lactose. So next, at the end of the discussion, we can be able to answer the essential question as well. So in here, we can be able to discuss why are protein shakes often used by bodybuilders and athletes, and how are biomolecules and polymers connected to chemistry and real life applications. So, for the series of activity, let's try to answer the following questions. Number one, why do athletes do carbo load? And then number two, why is it important to consult a doctor or nutritionist if you plan to gain or lose weight in a healthy way? Okay, so let's start with the first question. The reason why athletes do carbo loading is that it gives them energy. Considering that carbohydrates is a macromolecule that gives us energy, so in order for the athletes to complete endurance event and not to experience serious fatigue, and to improve their athletic performance, they need to do carbohydrate loading. Okay, so that is for number one. Again, that is the reason why athletes do carbo loading. Number two, so many people find medical nutrition therapy helpful for weight loss or weight gain. Okay, so the reason why we need to consult doctors because they are expert in terms of the field of controlling the food that we eat, specifically if we're dealing with dietitian, so they can be able to monitor the calorie intake of the things that we eat or consume per day. So this will then lead to a healthy losing or gaining of weight for an individual. Okay. So by consulting a nutritionist or a dietitian, we can be able to plan for a healthier lifestyle. We can properly outline the diet that we need to follow, and this may positively change our lifestyle, and later on will positively impact our weight gain or the weight loss of a certain individual. Okay, so that is for our test yourself activity. So next we have here the terms that we're going to encounter as we go under discussion. First off, we have here the monomers. So when we talk about monomers, these are small molecules and these are the basic building blocks of polymers. Next we have here the polymers. So when we talk about polymers, these are long chain molecule made up of repeated pattern of monomers. So polymers includes the macromolecules, namely the carbohydrates, the protein, the lipids, and then the nucleic acid. Okay. And lastly, we have here the biomolecule. So biomolecule is any molecule that is produced by living organism, including large macromolecules known as the carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acid. We need to remember that each biomolecule has their own function and is important in order for us to survive and in order for us to obtain the nutrition that we needed to perform different functions. Okay, so these are the terms that we're going to encounter as we go into our discussion. So let's start our discussion by defining what is a polymer. So polymers are large molecules composed of repeating smaller molecules called the monomers. So the reason why it is called polymers because it is made from repeating units of monomer. So these monomers are covalently bonded to each other through the process of polymerization. Okay, so as you can see in this example, so there are many small molecules, which is known as the monomers. And then these monomers will then be covalently bonded with one another so that we can produce one large molecule known as the polymer. So they undergo through a process what we call the polymerization. So polymerization is the process by which small molecules called the monomers combine chemically to produce a very large chain-like or network structure called the polymer. Okay, so the monomer molecules may be all like and they can also be represented by two to three or more different compounds. Okay, so that is for the monomers and then the polymers. Again, these are made from small molecules and the basic building blocks of polymer, while polymer are chain-like structure or a network of monomers covalently bonded with one another. Okay, so that is for the polymers. Okay, so next, let's define biomolecules. So biomolecules are complex organic compounds that are present in living organism and serve diverse biological function. It includes carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acid. So we need to remember that biomolecule are known as the biological molecule. So these are any of the numerous substances that are produced by cells and living organism. So biomolecules have wide range of sizes, structure, and specifically they also perform a vast array of function. Okay, so the four major types of biomolecule that can be seen inside the body includes the carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and the nucleic acid. All of those have their own structure, their own importance. Okay, so we're going to discuss that as we go on to our discussion. So let's have here the carbohydrates. So for the carbohydrates, it contains carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in the ratio CnH2ON. Okay, so carbohydrates are also known as saccharides or sugar. So we need to remember that carbohydrates includes simple sugar. It also includes complex sugar, including starches and cellulose. So for the function, we need to remember that carbohydrate serves as the energy storage and structural framework of different organism. Okay, so considering that carbohydrates is known as saccharide or sugar, it has three classes known as the monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide. They differ in terms of their sizes and then the sugar content as well. Okay, so the carbohydrates has a carbonyl group. Okay, so mean to say we have here carbon and oxygen connected with one another and a multiple copies of hydroxyl group. Okay, so when we say hydroxyl group, that is OH group. So considering different types of sugar, which includes the polysaccharide, monosaccharide, and disaccharide. So we need to remember that different sugar components have different arrangement of the carbonyl group or the carbon and oxygen group. Okay, so they can be an aldehyde, they can be a sugar, an aldose, and they can be a ketone sugar or a ketose. Okay, so that is for the carbohydrates. So let's further know more about the differences between monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide. So when we talk about monosaccharide, these are the basic unit of carbohydrates. They have many hydroxyl group in their molecular structure, thus they are polar and very soluble to water. Glucose is one of the simplest sugar or the monomer of the saccharide. Other than glucose are galactose and then the fructose. So we need to remember that considering that monosaccharide has many hydroxyl group, meaning to say they are soluble with water. So they're polar with water and they can easily mix up with water. Okay, so we have here different examples of monosaccharide. It includes the glucose. So apart from glucose, we also have here the galactose and then the fructose. So all of the simple sugar gives us energy. So we need to remember that glucose is most abundant type of monosaccharide in living organisms, considering that it can be used for cellular respiration. Okay, so we're gonna start with the glucose molecule so that we can create a pyruvate or 2-pyruvate or the pyruvic acid. Okay, so by doing that, we can be able to obtain adenosine triphosphate through cellular respiration. That is the reason why uh, there is multiple copies of glucose inside the living organism. Okay, so next tayo, we have here the structure of monosaccharide. So this is how it looks like for the fructose, glucose, and then the galactose. So as you can see in here, although they do have the same structure like your OH, they have the CH2OH, they have different arrangement. Okay, so let's say for example, for the glucose, we have here the arrangement OH on this side. Next, we have here OH on the side. Okay, so we also have here oxygen and we also have here HOCH2. Okay, so next for the galactose, somehow it is related with the structure of the glucose. The only difference is the arrangement or the attachment of the hydroxyl group on this side. Okay, so lastly, one thing that is apart from the structure if we're going to compare glucose, galactose, and fructose, so that will be fructose. Siya yung kakaiba yung structure. So this is how it looks like. We have here OH group on this side. So the OH group on this side. So we're gonna be having here some arrangement for the carbon, hydrogen, and OH group. So it goes on this side. So another copy goes on this side. So we have here HOCH2. Okay, so this is the closed chain structure of the monosaccharide, and this is the open chain structure of the monosaccharide. So just like what I've mentioned, they have the same structure or the same molecular formula, but they do not have the same structure. Okay, so the arrangement goes a long way. Okay, so the arrangement goes like this. So the glucose and galactose somehow are similar with each other. Okay, so the only thing that is not similar is the arrangement of OH on the carbon chain number 4. Okay, so as you can see, we have here H, C, O, H. So on this side for the galactose, we have here H, O, C, and then H. Okay, kumbaga, nagkaroon ng pagkakabaliktad in terms of the structure of the glucose and then the galactose. Okay, so next tayo, yun lang yung magkaiba sa kanilang dalawa. The arrangement of the hydroxyl group and the hydrogen group connected to the carbon chain number 4. And then, for the fructose, ito yung pinakakaiba sa lahat ng monosaccharide structure natin kasi nga ganito yung itsura ng kanyang structure. So, we have here, dito pa lang sa taas na part, iba na yung structure niya kasi meron tayo dinagdag dito na two hydrogen atoms and then one hydroxyl group and then nalipat yung mismong structure ng oxygen natin that has double bond. Okay? So, dyan lang naman sa taas na part yung kakaibang structure ni fructose. Pero pagdating dito sa carbon chain number 3, somehow related or somehow similar na siya with the glucose molecule. Okay, so that is for the open chain structure and then the closed chain structure of the monosaccharide. Kindly take note of the differences in terms of the structure, no? So, katulad na nabanggit natin kanina, yung monosaccharide, meron tayong iba't ibang sugar, meron pagkakaiba in terms of the arrangement of the carbonyl group, or carboxyl group. And then meron ding pagkakaiba in terms of the arrangement of the hydroxyl group. Okay? So that is for the ring structure and then the open chain structure of the monosaccharide. So next tayo, let's talk about the disaccharide. So disaccharide, so we have here two monosaccharide units that can be combined through the process called the condensation reaction. That is to produce a disaccharide molecule. During such process, a glycosidic bond is formed between two OH group of the monosaccharide unit in a reverse process called the hydrolysis. The glycosidic bond is broken. So in here, kaya siya tinawag na disaccharide kasi meron tayo ditong two repeating units of monosaccharide. Kaya siya tinawag na di because di means two. Okay, so we have here two units of monosaccharide component binded with one another. Okay, so we have here two um, processes as well. So we have here the hydrolysis and we also have here the condensation reaction. So the most common saccharide we need to remember are includes the sucrose, lactose, and then the maltose. So we need to remember that condensation reaction, it is when there is an elimination of water or some other simple molecule in a structure. So that is the condensation reaction. On the other hand, when we talk about hydrolysis, tinatawag naman natin yon na process wherein we're trying to use water to break down molecules. So hydro, which means water, and lysis is to break down. Okay, so that is for the disaccharide. Okay, so this is how it looks like for the structure of the disaccharide. We have here the sucrose. So it is made from the combination between glucose and fructose. Next, we have here the lactose. It includes galactose and glucose. Next, we have here the maltose, a combination of two glucose molecule. Okay, so for their structure, this is how it looks like for the closed chain structure, and this is how it looks like for the open chain structure. Okay, so as you can see, since we have here a condensation reaction, they are binded together by an oxy group. Okay, so kaya dito nagkaroon ng oxygen kasi nga binabind niya yung different types of um, monosaccharide sugar natin. Okay, depending on the type of disaccharide we want to produce. Okay, so that is for the sucrose, lactose, and then the maltose. Again, ang pinagsasama-sama natin for sucrose is one glucose, one fructose. Okay, kaya ganito yung itsura niya. And then for the lactose naman, we have the galactose and then the glucose. So, ayun. Bali, ang gagawin natin dito, para maalala natin, tatandaan natin kung ano yung um, mga structure para dito sa mga monosaccharide sugar na pinagsama natin together tapos ipag-combine lang natin siya using the oxy group or the oxygen. And then next for the maltose, dalawang glucose sugar yung pinagsama kaya naging ganito yung itsura niya. Okay? So that is for the structure of disaccharides in food, both the open chain structure and then the closed chain structure. Okay? So next tayo, we have here the polysaccharide. This is the last type of carbohydrate. So polysaccharide consists of repeating monosaccharide units, usually the glucose. This includes complex sugar such as starch, glycogen, and cellulose, which serves as the energy source as well as the cell framework for other organisms. So for the polysaccharide, poly which means many, and a saccharide, which means sugar. So in here, we have repeating units of monosaccharide, specifically the glucose molecule. Okay, so this will then produce complex sugar, including the starch, glycogen, and the cellulose. So for the structure, this is how it looks like. So we need to remember that glycogen is a polysaccharide that that is found that is formed from excess glucose in the body. Normally, this can be seen in liver. So that is the glycogen. So makikita nyo dito na marami tayong repeating units ng glucose. Kaya siya tinawag na complex sugar kasi nga marami na yung monosaccharide na pinagsasama natin together. Unlike pag disaccharide, dalawa lang yung kinakailangan natin type of sugar. Okay, so next naman, we have here the amylose. So, amylose naman is the linear structure of the starch. So, yung starch, matatagpuan natin yan sa plant cell. So, therefore, yung amylose, matatagpuan natin siya sa plant cell. Okay? So, it is the structure of the amylose. So, it includes 1,4 glycosidic bonds. So, just like in the structure. Okay? So, next naman, we have here the cellulose. So just like the amylose, cellulose can also be seen in plant cell. This is the main substance in the wall of the plant cell, helping plants to remain stiff and upright. Okay? So for the structure of the cellulose, ganito naman yung structure niya. So makikita nyo dito na there are repeating units of glucose molecule, and the reason why plants are rigid and plants can be able to manufacture their own food, it is because of the cellulose component. So, ganun ka-importante yung carbohydrates in living organism. They do not um produce energy, or they're not only capable of producing energy, but they can also give us the structure, or the cellular structure for the plants. Okay, so that is for the polysaccharide. And these are the example, and these are the structure. So again, ang tatandaan natin per polysaccharide, marami tayo ditong repeating units ng monosaccharide. Specifically, we have the glucose molecule. Okay? So that is for the polysaccharide. So we're done already with the carbohydrates. Again, to sum it up, we need to remember carbohydrates has three types. We have the monosaccharide, polysaccharide, and then the disaccharide. Kapag mono, it is consists of one sugar and commonly gives us simple sugar. And then kapag disaccharide, we have here two repeating units of monosaccharide. And kapag polysaccharide naman, we have here multiple copies of monosaccharide, specifically the glucose molecule, so that we can form a more complex type of sugar. Okay, so that is for the carbohydrates. So next, let's have here the lipids. So lipids are macromolecules composed of several simpler compound groups. They have mainly hydrogen and carbon atoms and a few oxygen atoms that make them generally nonpolar. As nonpolar compounds, they are soluble in nonpolar solvents and insoluble in water. So specifically, lipids are hydrophobic. So when we say hydrophobic, water fearing structure. So that is for the lipids. Kaya nga, yung lipids, it includes different fats, different oils, waxes, kasi nga they are hydrophobic. Okay? So meaning to say they're non-polar in water, hindi sila natutunaw sa water, pero kapag nilagay natin sila do sa mga reagent natin or do sa mga solvent natin like the benzene, the acetone, they are polar. Okay? Or matutunaw sila do sa mga solvent na yon. Okay? So that is for the lipids. So we need to remember that the lipids includes different types like the triglyceride. We also have here the steroids, and then we also have here um, phospholipid. Okay, so basically the lipids must have two smaller molecules. We have the glycerol and then the fatty acid. That is the monomers of the lipids, or the basic building blocks of the lipids. Kanina naman for the carbohydrates ang ating monomers ay yung saccharide or sugars, or the simple sugar, including the glucose molecule. Okay? So next tayo, this is the structure of the triglyceride, the phospholipid, and then we also have here the steroids. So as you can see in here, glycerol, this is the structure, and it is bonded together with the fatty acid so that we can create the lipid molecule. They're going to undergo through the dehydration synthesis reaction. This is where a water molecule is formed by pulling out two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. So in here, we're going to pull out hydrogen component in the glycerol, and we're going to pull out OH group in the fatty acid so that we can give off water molecule, or the dihydrogen monoxide. Okay? So that is for the um, creation of the lipids. And then next we have here the three types of lipids: the triglyceride, the steroids, and then the phospholipid. Okay, so the main components of the triglyceride is glycerol and fatty acid. Okay, so that is for the triglyceride. Okay, so next naman we have here the steroids. For the steroids naman, the major constituent of the plasma membrane is the phospholipid. So just like triglyceride, syempre binubuo rin yan ng different glycerol and fatty acid components. Magkaiba lang sila ng structure. So, kung titingnan or i-observe natin, kaya siya tinawag na triglyceride kasi tatlong beses nag-repeat yung unit ng structure natin for glycerol and fatty acid. Okay? So, for the steroids naman, commonly ang nabubuo nito is the closed chain structure, and it includes the following. We have here fluorine, OH group or the hydroxyl group, and we also have here oxygen component. Okay, so next we have here um the phospholipid. Okay, so for the phospholipid, so it is consists of choline, phosphate, and then the glycerol. So makikita natin siya do sa cellular structure natin, specifically do sa plasma membrane natin. So yung phospholipid bilayer, it includes hydrophobic tail and then the hydrophilic head. So in the hydrophilic head, pwedeng mag-pass through yung water components or water molecules, pero in the hydrophobic tail, hindi na pwedeng mag-pass through doon yung water molecules. Okay? So, lastly, for the steroids and waxes, so these are consists of four length carbon rings. So, kaya ganito yung itsura niya. So, these are carbon rings binded with one another. So, it includes cholesterol and they have short tail structure that includes the substituent and then the functional group. The functional group. Okay, so we need to remember that waxes are made up of hydrocarbon chain with an alcohol or the hydroxyl group and a fatty acid. That is for the steroids. Okay, so apart from having the fatty acid, it also includes the alcohol or the hydroxyl group. Okay, so that is for the lipid or examples for lipid structure. Okay, so that ends our discussion. I know we still have pala the phospholipid bilayer. So again, the phospholipid bilayer of the cell membrane. It is a structure located at the plasma membrane of the cell. So in here we have, kaya tinawag na bilayer, kasi dalawa yung layer na bumubuo dito. We have here the hydrophilic head and then the hydrophobic tail. So again, in this structure, in the hydrophilic head, water molecules can pass through it, while in the hydrophobic tail, hindi na pwedeng mag-pass through dito yung water components natin. Okay, so as you can see in here, for the chain-like structure, ganito yung itsura niya. So meron tayo ditong phosphate group, and then meron tayo ditong glycerol for the hydrophilic head. While in the hydrophobic tail, we have here the saturated fatty acid and then the unsaturated fatty acid. Okay, so it can be seen in the extracellular matrix of the cell. Specifically, the function is to permit what comes in and comes out of the cell. Okay, so that is for the phospholipid bilayer. So we're done with the discussion about lipids. So next naman, let's talk about the proteins. So this is the third macromolecule. So for the proteins, by definition, these are polymers composed of amino acid monomers. An amino acid is an organic compound that contains an amino or the NH2 group and a carboxyl or COOH group bonded to a carbon atom called the alpha carbon. Okay, so we need to remember in terms of the function, proteins can be seen in the human body. There are tens of thousands of proteins located in the human body. So they have their specific structure and function, and all of it are important because they play a role in defense, storage, transport, cellular communication, movement, and then the cellular or the cellular structural support. Okay, so that is for the protein. So in here, we're going to consider the essential and then the non-essential amino acid. So, in terms of the structure pala, no, ito yung tatandaan natin. Kapag carbohydrates, we have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Lipids, we still have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Nagkakaroon lang ng changes in terms of the arrangement. Kaya nagiging siyang non-polar. And then kapag proteins naman, may additional element naman tayo. We have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Kasi nga, meron siyang amino acid monomer. Okay, so amino acid monomer binded together will then create protein component. Okay, so next tayo, this is the amino acid. As you can see in here, it is made from elements such as hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, and oxygen. Okay, so this is the general structure of amino acid. The monomer of protein, it is consists of hydrogen atom, the R group, differs with amino acid and amino group and carboxyl group. The center carbon is called as the alpha carbon. So, yung pinaka middle part natin ng carbon dito, that is the alpha carbon, and this is where the amino group and then the carboxyl group are connected. Okay, so this is the primary structure of the proteins or the amino acid. So the primary structure of the amino acid includes the linear sequencing of amino acid in a polypeptide chain. Okay, so dito makikita natin yung chain-like structure that may include the glutamic acid, the threonine, and then the proline. Okay, and then we also have here the lysine. So next we have here the secondary structure. So the secondary structure is a local folded structure that forms within a polypeptide due to the interaction between atoms of the backbone. Okay, so we need to remember the primary sequence is a sequence of amino acid. It is held together by the polypeptide bonds. So genes determine the order of the number of amino acid in our body, so that is for the primary structure. For the secondary structure naman, we're going to consider here the folding. So different ways of folding the primary structure will then give us the secondary structure. So in here, we're going to have the alpha helix and then the beta pleated sheets that is involved in the formation of hydrogen bonds. So the hydrogen bonds serves as the backbone of amino acid structure. Okay, so next we have here the tertiary structure. So the overall three-dimensional structure of a polypeptide, it is due to the interaction between the R groups of the amino acid that makes up the protein. So as you can see in here, this will then give us the three-dimensional structure. It includes the polypeptide backbone, and then it is connected together by the ionic bond. So we also have here the hydrogen bond and then the disulfide linkage. So because of the following linkages, we can be able to create a three-dimensional structure of the tertiary structure for amino acid. Okay, so for the tertiary group, we need to remember that the outside part of the protein is hydrophilic and then the inside part is hydrophobic. Meaning to say, yung outside daw is water loving, yung inside is water faring. So the 3D structure will then be connected together by different interaction, including the ionic bond, the van der Waals interaction, the sulfide bonds, and then the hydrogen bonds. So we're going to know more about different bonding by third quarter. So pahapyaw lang siya kumbaga for the tertiary structure. Kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng tertiary structure because of different interactions that happens inside the structure of the tertiary um, protein structure. Okay, so next we have here the quaternary structure or the quaternary sequence. So ganito yung itsura niya. So kukunti lang pala yung mga organism na nag-underwent through quaternary sequence. So if we're going to look at the protein, It is consists of polypeptide chain, the subunit. So, makikita rin natin dito yung protein folding problem. Dito rin nag-occur yun. And then, for the quaternary protein structure, so these are protein consisting of more than one amino acid chain. So, dahil nga more than one amino acid chain na siya, there are instances na nagbubuhol-buhol na siya and nagkakaroon tayo ng problem in terms of the protein folding. Okay, so yung problem regarding the protein folding may result to different problems like the Huntington's disease, the Parkinson's disease. Kaya may makikita kayong mga individual na, kumbaga, involuntarily nagalaw yung muscle nila because they have the nervous system problem already or the Huntington's disease and then the Parkinson's disease. Yung mga sakit kasi na yon commonly ang naapektuhan is the movement, balance, and the action, I mean the movements of the muscle. Okay? Imbes na um, involuntary movements, so magkakaroon tayo ng voluntary movements. Hindi natin makokontrol yung movement ng body natin or ng muscle natin. Okay? So, in here, we have the chaperonins. So, these are the protein that can help with the folding process. Specifically, it is barrel shape. So, yun yung magpe-prevent para hindi magbuhol-buhol or magkaroon ng problems in terms of the protein folding and ma-prevent natin yung mga sakit like the Parkinson's disease and then the Huntington's disease. So kapag hindi naging effective si chaperonins, so most probably maka-experience tayo ng sakit related to the nervous system, katulad na nabanggit natin kanina. Okay? So, included din dito sa part or sa sequence na to, yung paramount. Okay, so paramount is a mature protein that can also help with the folding process. So, kapag hindi naging effective si chaperonins, so meron pa tayong paramount na makakatulong rin para maging maayos yung folding ng protein natin. Okay, so again, if the proteins are not properly arranged or not properly folded, if we experience protein misfolding, this can lead to certain nervous system diseases like the Huntington's disease and then the Parkinson's disease. In here, we cannot properly control the movement of our muscles. So therefore, randomly gumagalaw yung parts ng body natin and we cannot control it properly. Okay? So, next tayo. Let's have here the denaturation of protein or the unfolding of protein. So, ito rin yung another factor para magkaroon ng protein misfolding. So, by means of applying the following methods. So, number one is the application of heat above 50 degrees Celsius. So, heat may denature our protein and it may cause atoms to vibrate more rapidly, disrupting relatively weak hydrogen bonding and dispersion forces. So therefore, kapag halimbawa naglagay tayo ng heat do sa ating protein, so maaring ma-misfold or ma-unfold yung protein natin. And maaari siya mag-cause ng different diseases. So next, use of organic compounds such as ethyl alcohol or the ethanol. So these compounds are capable of engaging in intermolecular hydrogen bonding with protein molecules, disrupting the intramolecular hydrogen bonding with the protein. So kapag na-disrupt, syempre yung ano natin, yung um, intermolecular forces, maring maghiwalay yung mga structure ng ating substances. So next tayo, salts of heavy metal ions such as mercury, silver, and lead. These ions form strong bonds with the carboxylate anions of the acidic amino acid or the SH group of cysteine, disrupting ionic bonds and disulfide linkages. Okay? So, next tayo, alkaloid. Ay. Alkaloid reagents such as tannic acid used in tanning leather. These reagents combine with positively charged amino groups in proteins to disrupt ionic bonds. So specifically, in denaturation of proteins, this is the term used for any change in the three-dimensional structure that renders it incapable of performing its assigned function. So again, kapag na-unfold ang proteins, maaaring hindi niya na magawa yung function na intended niyang gawin. So, kapag hindi niya na yun nagawa, syempre, maaaring maapektuhan yung individual undergoing through the denaturation of protein, maaaring magkasakit or anything. Okay? Okay, so let's have here some examples of denaturation of proteins that happens in the sequencing or the structure of the protein. So in quaternary structure, denaturation, the spatial arrangement of protein subunits is disrupted. So in here, the one that is being disrupted is the arrangement of the protein itself. In the quaternary structure, that denaturation, it involves the disruption of covalent interaction between amino acid side chains. And then we're gonna be having here non-covalent dipole-dipole interaction between polar amino acid and side chains. So in the tertiary structure denaturation, ang naapektuhan is the covalent interaction. So ang naapektuhan is the bonding itself. Okay? Kanina, in quaternary, ang naapektuhan is the subunit of the protein. Okay? So another thing for tertiary structure denaturation is the disruption of the non-covalent dipole-dipole interaction, and then um, the van der Waals induced dipole interaction between non-polar amino acid side chains. Okay, so that is for the tertiary structure and quaternary structure denaturation. And then, next tayo, we have here the secondary structure denaturation. Proteins lose all regular repeating patterns such as the alpha helices and beta pleated sheaths and adopt a random coil configuration. Okay? Ang nawawala naman dito is the alpha and then the beta pleated sheaths. Okay? So, Siyempre, maaaring maapektuhan yung another structure kapag secondary structure pa lang ay nagkaroon na ng disruption. Okay? So, nagkaroon na nagpababago in terms of the patterns or the repeating patterns. And then, next number four is the primary structure, such as the sequence of amino acid held together by covalent peptide bonds is not disrupted by denaturation. So, ibig sabihin nito, ang naapektuhan lang daw ng protein denaturation commonly ay the quaternary structure, the tertiary structure, and then the secondary structure. Okay? So, next naman, we have here the structure of amino acid. We have the essential and non-essential amino acid. So, pag sinabi natin non-essential amino acid, they include alanine, asparagine, arginine, aspartic acid, glutamic acid, cysteine, glutamine, proline, glycine, serine, and tyrosine. So, out of 20 amino acids, our body can easily synthesize few on their own and are called non-essential amino acid. Ibig sabihin nun, it is normally occurring in our body, it is innate in our body, and hindi na natin kinakailangan ng vitamins and other nutritional um, foods so that we can synthesize the following amino acid. On the other hand, if we talk about amino acid or the essential amino acid, ito naman yun na-obtain natin from vitamins, from the food that we intake. Okay, so it includes isoleucine, histidine, lysine, leucine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, methionine, threonine, and the valine. Okay? So, kaya siya tinawag na essential amino acid kasi hindi siya kayang i-synthesize ng body natin. Para makuha natin yon, kinakailangan pa nating mag-intake ng vitamins or kumain ng mga nutritious food so that we can properly synthesize the following essential amino acid. Okay? So, this is the structure of the amino acid. So, mapapansin natin na it has carboxyl group. Magkakaiba lang sila ng arrangement. Okay? Para magkaroon tayo ng other or different types of amino acid. Okay? So, we're done with the discussion of proteins. Ayan, medyo mahaba yung proteins natin kasi maraming proteins inside our body. And all of it are important. Okay, so continue. Okay, to continue, let's have here the fourth macromolecule. This is the nucleic acid. So, nucleic acid or the polynucleotide or polymers made of monomers called the nucleotides. Okay, so, in nucleic acid, we need to remember that the general structure of the nucleic acid includes pentose sugar, phosphate group, and the nitrogenous base. So, therefore, for the structure, we have here carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and the phosphorus. Okay? So, in the polynucleotide, each monomer has only one phosphate group. The portion of the nucleotide without any phosphate group called the nucleoside. Okay? Nucleic acid are biomolecules essential for the transmission of the DNA or the hereditary information for living organisms, and it is also responsible for manufacturing proteins in the cell. Okay, so the reason why we can perform cellular respiration is because of the nucleic acid specifically. Okay, so we have here the structure of the nucleic acid. So the components of the nucleic acid, both the deoxyribonucleic acid and then the ribonucleic acid. Okay, so as you can see in here, specifically it is made from the it's made from NH2 or the um so specifically for the structure of the DNA and RNA. So it has the nitrogenous bases, pyrimidines, and then the purines. So pyrimidines includes the cytosine, thymine, uracil, adenine, and guanine is for the purines. So again, going back, as you can see, it has the amino group. Apart from that, we also have here the oxygen and hydrogen, and then at some point we also have here the phosphate group. So that is the primary structure of the components of nucleic acid or the deoxyribonucleic acid and then the ribonucleic acid. Okay, so next tayo. We need to remember that we're gonna be having here the central dogma. Okay, so for the transcription and translation, we're gonna be having here specific amino acid being translated. And syempre, that amino acid is essential for different functions that is performed inside our body. Okay, so we need to remember yung mga pairing natin dito, base pairing. So, cytosine is to guanine. So, para maalala nyo siya, ang pwede natin gamitin dito is na mnemonics or analogy. Cytosine is to guanine, car is to garage. Next, adenine is to thymine. So, apple is to tree. Okay? So, yun yung mga pwede natin gamitin ang analogy para matandaan natin. Ano yung magkakapartner na pyrimidines and purines? Again, C is to G, car is to garage, cytosine is to guanine, A is to T, apple is to tree, adenine is to thymine. Okay? So, kapag halimbawa, magta-transcribe na tayo, magkakaroon ng changes. Instead na ang magka-partner is the adenine and thymine, yung thymine mapapalitan siya ng uracil. Okay? So, kapag magta-transcribe again, magkakaroon tayo ng partner na adenine and uracil, and mariremove na natin yung thymine. Pero si thymine, ganun pa rin yung magiging kapartner niya, adenine pa rin. Okay? So, ang mapapalitan lang is yung partner between adenine and thymine, magiging na siyang adenine and uracil. Pero kapag thymine, magiging pa rin siyang thymine and adenine. Okay? So, let's have here the transcription process done with the translation process. So as you can see in here, we have A is to T, adenine, thymine, thymine, adenine, guanine, cytosine, adenine, thymine, thymine, adenine. Okay, so that is per the transcription, and then that is per the DNA transcription, and then right after that in the RNA transcription, we're gonna be having here new base pairing. So instead of having adenine to thymine, we're gonna be having adenine to uracil. Okay? So for the translation, we're gonna be using a specific table that will decode ano nga ba yung mga substances na gagamitin natin as the starting codon, ano nga ba kapag pinagsama-sama natin yung mga na-transcribe na RNA na to, ano yung magiging um, translated niyang amino acid. Okay? So, ito yung ano natin, table for the translation for amino acid. We have here the start codon. Yun nga pala, kapag magta-translate tayo ng amino acid, ginugroup natin into three yung ating mga base pairing. Okay? Or yung mga na-transcribe nating RNA. Okay? So, halimbawa, we have the start codon, AUG. So, that codes for methionine. So again, methionine is the start codon. That is the AUG. Okay? So yung end codon naman natin or the stop codon, kapag sinabi natin stop codon, dito na natatapos yung translation process. So for the stop codon, ito lang tatandaan natin. We have UA, UAG, UGA. Okay? So UA, UAG, UGA, that is the stop codon. That will then stop the process of translation of the transcribed RNA to translated amino acid. Okay? So, yun nga, yung bawat code natin, meron siyang type ng amino acid na dinedecode or tinatranslate. Okay, so halimbawa, we have UUU. So, that is phenylalanine. Okay, so next we have here AUU. So, that is um, ILE, isoleucine. So next we have here AGU. So that is serine. So we need to remember that this is the table of genetic code and it shows how codons are translated into amino acid. So again, per each amino acid, meron tayong iba't ibang codon na natatranslate. Okay? So next tayo. So to sum it up, this is for the macromolecule. This is the structure, the monomer, the examples, and their uses. So let's have here the proteins. This is the structure or the formula for proteins. Again, yung kanyang elements included is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. The monomer is amino acid. Examples are enzyme, hormones, and some hormones, and then it is used for storage, signal, structural, contractile, defensive, enzyme, transport, and receptor. And then we also have here the lipids. So the lipids has carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. The monomer are fatty acid and glycerol. Common examples are butter, cholesterol, and beeswax. So this is for energy storage, chemical messengers, and is repelling water since it is hydrophobic. Carbohydrates are CHORN. Okay, so the monomers are the monosaccharide. So examples are glucose, fructose, and starch, glycogen, and cellulose, are responsible for energy storage and the structure of different cellular component. Next, we have here the nucleic acid. So We have here the pentose sugar, the nitrogenous base, and the phosphate. So the monomer is nucleotides. Examples are the DNA, and then the RNA, or the deoxyribonucleic acid, ribonucleic acid, and the uses are the genetic information. Yun nga pala, example ng foods that includes or that has protein, syempre we have the white meat, the red meat. Okay, so yun yung mga mataas na protina, yung mga meat. And then next for the lipids, makukuha naman natin to commonly sa oil, sa fats, sa waxes. Halimbawa, we have here the vegetable oil, so it has lipids. Yung avocado, meron din siyang lipid. So, carbohydrates naman, makukuha naman natin to normally sa potato, sa pasta, and then sa rice na kinukonsume natin everyday. And then, nucleic acid, di siya common sa mga food na in-intake natin kasi it is innate already in our body. So, matatagpuan na siya sa body natin and ginagamit lang natin siya to decode hereditary information. Okay? So, to sum it up, biomolecules are organic molecules containing lipids, proteins, carbohydrates, and nucleic acid. This is important and necessary for our survival and is also important so that we can properly give off different functions. Okay, so for the carbohydrates, it is energy storage and ginagamit natin siya so that we can obtain carbs that will give us energy. It comes from the Greek word saccharon, which means sugar. So it includes monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide. Protein naman are another class of essential macromolecules that comprise around half of the dry weight of the cell are and it's called proteins. Polymers of amino acid organized into polypeptide chain are called proteins. So proteins have different functions and is necessary for our survival. So it includes two types, the essential amino acid and then the non-essential amino acid. Okay? So, included din dito yung mga sequencing natin like the primary, secondary, tertiary, and the quaternary sequencing. That is important for us to prevent different nervous system related diseases like the Parkinson's disease and then the Huntington's disease. Okay, so next we have here the nucleic acid. All the genetic information passed down from the parents to the children contained in the nucleic acid. Okay, so we have here the deoxyribonucleic acid and then the ribonucleic acid, two different forms of nucleic acid. Okay, so we have here the pentose sugar phosphate group and then the nitrogenous bases. So again, for the nitrogenous bases, we have the base pairing. Um, Adenine is to thymine, cytosine is to guanine. So, lagi natin tatandaan na ang magka-partner is the purines and the pyrimidines. Hindi pwede na parehong group yung kinabibilangan nila kapag mag-pair up sila. Okay? So, for the lipids, these are compounds that are used by living organism and are soluble in organic solvent but insoluble with water. Specifically, they are hydrophobic and they're connected to fatty acid. So this includes phospholipids, steroids, waxes, and fat-soluble vitamins like the triglycerides and fats. Okay? So just like carbohydrates, energy storage then yung function ni lipids. The only difference is that yung carbohydrates, it is soluble with water. Lipids is insoluble with water. Okay? So that sums up our discussion for today. So again, if you have questions, feel free to message me during our consultation hours. So for our activity, we have here the performance task, a grasp activity, organic chemistry experiment, a chemistry and entrepreneurship collaborative output, product making. So your goal is to experiment safely and accurately, carry out a series of organic chemistry experiments to understand the properties, reaction, synthesis of organic compounds. You will demonstrate comprehension of the theoretical concepts by conducting experiments, recording data, and analyzing results to draw meaningful conclusion. That will be 100 points. The deadline of submission is on October 14, 2025, 11:59 p.m. So what we need to submit is a video, experiment, and a lab report. So I have uploaded already the answer sheet. So kindly use that as your guide in doing your final output. Okay? So, bali ang magta-turn in is the leader, yung dalawang leader natin. Tapos yung other members naman, kahit i-mark as done lang yung ating answer sheet and lagay do sa comment section yung group number. Okay? So, another activity, ito ay hindi na-include sa answer sheet, pero na-announce ko naman to, no, that we're gonna be having our long quiz. So, you need to study modules 1 to 6 and prepare one whole sheet of paper and a pen for the quiz. Pero baka wala tayong face-to-face by October 6 and 7, tentative. So, ang mangyayari nito, baka sa Google Forms tayo mag-quiz, pero titingnan ba natin kung ano yung mga pwede natin gawin by next Thursday and Friday, no? Okay? Kindly prepare and review for our long quiz. Yun lang yung ano natin, tip ko for or long quiz. Okay? So, pakiaral lahat ng mga diniscuss natin from week 1 to week 6. Okay? So, after our long quiz, by next meeting, so that will be October 13, face-to-face meeting. So, we're gonna be having naman our post-test. And lastly, October 20 to 24, yan naman yung allotted date natin for the quarterly assessment. So, ayan, sunod-sunod na yon. Kaya make sure na dito pa lang sa long test, mag-review na kayo para hindi na kayo mahirapan sa post-test and sa quarterly assessment natin, no? Okay? So, next tayo. That is the instructions for the activity. Next, we have here the learning resources, the supplementary readings and materials. You can access that so that you can learn more about the topic. And that will be the end of our discussion. Again, if you have questions, clarifications, feel free to message me during the consultation hours. Okay? So, again, um, dates to remember. October 6 to 10 is for the long test. 13 to 17 is for the post test. 20 to 24 is for the quarterly assessment. We don't know yet lang kung ano yung specific date kung kailan natin or kailan gaganapin yung mga ano na yon, yung mga events na yon, no? Hindi ko pa kasi alam kung 2021 kayo or 23-24. Okay? For the quarterly exam. And syempre, for the post-test, that is during our face-to-face classes naman. Okay? So that is for our lesson number 6 about polymers and biomolecules. This is the end of our discussion for the second quarter period. Okay? So again, thank you for listening and goodbye.